So thank you everyone very much for joining us today. It is an honor for me to present today's webinar organized by the Institute of Marine Sciences and also EUC in the framework of the ResBios project. We have today with us two outstanding speakers, Professor Marek and Professor Elster from the University of Bremen and University of Gdańsk. And I will introduce soon afterwards their work. And we are all part from the ResBios project. In this project, we are embedding practices on RRI, on responsible research and innovation. And as part of these actions, in our institute, we organize activities for increase the visibility of women researchers and increase the awareness for gender issues, especially during the Awareness Month that takes place from the 11th February till 8th of March. So this webinar is entitled Keeping Women in STEM Careers, Fixing the Leaky Pipe. As some of you may know, the leaky pipeline metaphor describes the way in which women become underrepresented minorities in the STEM fields. So today we will have two visions. Professor Elster is full professor for biology and science education at the University of Bremen, and will give us a perspective from the beginning of this leaky pipe in the education. So, Professor Elster, if you are ready,
yes,
the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Then thank you, Janire. I will share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I welcome you to our session. It's an interest in recruitment in science. Why women choose STEM studies is the title of my presentation. And I want to start with the newest research data from Sheep Widgets 2022. This is a diagram, a figure about the proportion of men and women in a typical academic career, students and academic staff. And you see here across the European 28 states, the data from 2015 and 2018. You see a classical gender gap, and you see that starting with the bachelor students and the master students, there are more female students in the university. But then, beginning with the doctoral students, with the doctoral time, the doctoral programs, and the final graduates, you see a change that the male students are more, and then the so-called leaky pipeline is starting. You see the young postdocs. There we have 45 to 47% of females, and later on the senior researchers are about 39%, and at the end, at the leadership positions in 2018, about 26% of female will reach this step, and 2015 it was 24%. You see the males are about 75%, so there is really a gender gap. The European Union says that this is a good progress, that there are 2% more females at the end of their career at the leadership positions, but you see there is much to do to better this situation. when you look at the STEM field, you see that this differences between male are much more significant. You see that the number of female bachelor and students are about 32%, the graduates 35%, and then the grade C, B, and grade C 35%, grade B 28%, and the last position, the final position, grade A leadership position, reach about 19%. It's very low. But what we have to mention is that the interest of females to start a STEM study is about only 30%. So this is a figure about 110 countries and dependent territories, and it was about the selection of STEM-related fields in higher education. And to these STEM-related fields, there are the following research fields: health and welfare, engineering, manufacturing and construction, natural sciences, mathematics and statistics, and information and communication. You see only about 30% of these STEM-related fields females decide to study. You see there is a further difference, 15% medicine or health or welfare studies. When you have a look to the other fields, business, education, arts, and so on, there are higher selected, more females choose such a study. So the question in my presentation is, what are the reasons for the choice, the remaining or leaving of a STEM study program? And therefore, I want to present you results from a European project, IRIS, its interests and recruitment in science. It was about factors influencing the recruitment, the retention, and gender equity in science, technology, and mathematics, higher education. This is in the STEM studies. The project was coordinated by the University of Oslo, and 5 European countries participated: Norway, United Kingdom, Italy, Denmark, and Slovenia. And as associated partners, Germany and Austria participated. And we at University Bremen, we coordinated this survey. What were the background, the objectives? The need of a greater STEM work phase for the 21st century, especially in the fields of renewable energy, communication, agricultural technology, medical treatments, transport, and so on, are the reasons the IRIS consortium started to develop this research. In addition, the economic growth in the European countries were of interest, and STEM as an important sector of this economic growth. The other side, there was a shortage in the STEM educated personnel, and there was the question, can we lose women in STEM fields, in STEM education, and in STEM working fields? Or the other way around, what shall we do to foster, to promote that more females decide STEM studies? So the aims and the research questions of IRIS are: on what priorities, values, and experiences do young people base their educational choice? What are the influencing factors? What are the success factors for recruiting more female students to STEM? And why do some students opt out of STEM education? So what are the reasons? The IRIS consortium developed a questionnaire, and we handed in this questionnaire in an online version. The target population were first-year students within 8 STEM disciplines. The STEM disciplines are according to the ICT classification: biology, physics, chemistry, computer sciences, engineering with mechanical, electronic, and computer science. The questionnaire consists of 65 items, and I choose items I want to present here, results, findings from school science experiences, choice of education, and students' first year's experiences in their academic programs. In total, in Germany, about 2,236 participants, first-year students, participants take part in the question and the study. In Austria, it was about 1,340 participants. In Austria, all 7 universities participated in the survey. In Germany, it was about 1/3 of the universities who participated in the survey. The questionnaire was handed in at the end of the first study year, but in addition to this questionnaire, we made, especially in Austria, qualitative interviews with female students at the beginning and at the end of the first study year, and at the end of their study program, so after 4 years. So we had especially in the qualitative survey, a good view about the development of the female students in their study programs. The theoretical frame. We used Eckler's expectancy value model for the choice of to determine the choice of the study. According to Eckler, the choice is influenced by the expectation of success and subjective value. And this subjective value, the factors are interest and enjoyment, attainment value, utility value, and relative cost. In addition to the expectancy value model, we used Bandura and Tinto's model, the self-efficacy theory, so the efficacy expectation and the outcome expectation for the decision to stay or to leave the study program, and in addition, Tinto's model of student retention. Tinto said academic integration and social integration are factors that influence the stay or the leave, the dropout of the decision of a study program. So let's look in detail which factors influence the choice of a STEM study program. There we handed in this questionnaire with a 5-point Likert scale, and what I present are the percent of agree and strong agree to the following issues. Secondary school is crucial in choosing a STEM study, and you see here especially the interest, the The red one are female in Germany or in Austria. The blue ones are male in Germany or in Austria. And you see the interest is very important for the choosing a STEM study. In addition, the previous attainment, the practical applications, and the relevance for society. This is not new for us, because in other studies like the ROSE, the relevance of science education, we identified similar factors. Then we ask how important were the following persons in choosing your course, your study course. And you see that especially the good teachers are the factor that influence the study course. So I, as a teacher educator, I see that especially in the supporting students to become good teachers, this is a task we have to consider. The other, you see that especially for females, mother and stepmother, father and stepfather are important influencing factors. And you see the career advisors at schools are not so important. Now the question, how do the students experience the situation after the first study year? And you see the expectancy of success. I feel confident that I am good enough at a subject in this course is of importance, especially for the male. The interest in the subject, how interesting is the content of the course, is of importance for females as well as male. The utility value, I can see the relevance for what I learn is of importance. The attainment value, I feel that the course fits the person that I am, is important. The relative costs, the effort you have to spend on your study is of importance. Was the study choice the right decision? Most of the students are sure that they have chosen to stay properly. Women are less sure about choosing the right study than men. For women, especially, the social relationship with the fellow students are of importance. You see that especially, yes, in all subjects, it is important that this social relationship is considered. The students say, in generally, there is a good social life in my study program, and we see at University of Bremen, according to the Corona pandemic and the home office and home studies, that many of the students drop out the study programs. So it's really the social relationship where we now can imagine how important this is for students, and you see for female students more important than for male students. Opt out. Are the students thinking about giving up their studies? About 23% of the female students consider giving up their studies. Only about 15% of the male students consider giving up their studies. And there are a highly significant relationship between gender and study dropout. So especially for females, you have to consider supporting measures to keep them in the study programs. Preventing dropout. show the students that they are part of the social and scientific community, make them confident that they can succeed. So this self-efficacy and this social integration and academic integration is of importance, especially for the females. Make it clear that STEM studies are hard and demanding, but assure them that they will get support. So mentoring programs for males and for females are important. And the social events within a working group and academic group, and that the students are integrated, are part of these social events, that is of importance. To sum up, the experiences in secondary schools is important in choosing a STEM study. The key persons are the good teachers. The key factor is the interest towards the subject. And as we know from other studies, interest, it should start in the lower secondary level to rise the interest for STEM issues, and you have to support and to trigger this interest till the students choose their study programs. Implications for supporting first-year students and preventing dropout. Let students understand that STEM education is interesting and meaningful for their future life. Let students understand that STEM education will be a possibility to realize their own potential. The self-efficacy is of importance. The social and academic integration is of importance. And last but not least, the mentoring systems at the university are of importance. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Elster. We will for sure take in good consideration on this information that you have provided for our outreach and scientific education activities at our institutes and with the students. Now we will go to the next intervention of today, and then we will go to a part of debate and also for a question and answers space. So let me introduce you now, the Professor Marek. She's full professor in immunology and also director of International Center for Cancer Vaccine Science at the University of Gdańsk. So, Professor Marek, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for inviting me for this event. And with my talk, I would like to start a discussion regarding a very old problem, I would say, about the imbalance between numbers of men and women scientists who become full professors and in general hold responsible and decisive positions in academia. However, we have been living in a world of ideals of equality. We very often discuss about the inclusive environment. So maybe this problem is not up to date anymore. However, about 3 weeks ago, I listened to the lecture of my colleague, who is also a great scientist, Professor Trzonkowska, and she showed us the current statistics regarding men and women in our university. However, reading a little bit at the field, I can tell you that these statistics are quite similar also in other countries and also in other universities. So how it looks like. And as you can see, more women than men are admitted to the doctoral schools, not only to study humanities and social sciences, but also to study mathematics and especially biotechnology. So women take this first step beyond the master's degree. And it also seems that we women understand how to develop our research and our careers, because more women apply and receive the scientific grants, national and international. However, when it comes to the academic positions, when it comes to the point of becoming associate or full professor, so this slight domination of women dramatically drops down, and really few women becomes full professors nowadays. And it is this proportion is even bigger when we talk about women in university boards. So in general, women hold about 1/3 of the positions in university boards. So we are the minority. So why still so few women become full professors and hold responsible positions? So that's the question. So of course I have my personal point of view. However, I also asked my husband, who is a professor too, because I wanted to confront my female point of view with his male point of view. And surprisingly, we had the same conclusions. We think that women doubt they can do something good enough, that they are not good enough. For example, during a job interview, if you ask men and women applicant, if you can take this responsibility, if you can reach this goal, so 90% of men will confirm, will admit immediately. 90% of women will show some concern, and even if they confirm, they will tell that they will do it, but if there will be good collaboration with the team or something like this, they try to find some excuse in case they will not succeed. So we experience a fear of disappointing somebody. This is like something being in our nature, or maybe we were raised this way. I'm not sure, but this is something that comes from inside. And of course, at some point, we become mothers. So we have different priorities for sure. And we don't know very often how to be a mom and researcher simultaneously. And nobody teaches us how to take these two roles simultaneously. Even very often, nobody tells us that it is possible and we can manage. So we doubt more and more in ourselves. So, and I would like to use this meeting to tell you about my personal experience. And I do not have the recipe how to deal with these problems, for sure. But I did something that let me, reach some point. So I would like to treat my story like a story of your colleague or auntie who just want to share her experience with you. So this is not just the arbitrary, story. I just want to share experience with you. This is what women used to do for ages. We shared our experience just to learn, just to support each other, just to create the bonds, and just to pass through some difficulties. So I think that we shouldn't avoid this even in 21st century. This is something important to discuss our cases, to share the experience. This is nothing to be ashamed. So I think that everything starts from the beginning, since we are born. And when the girl is born, usually parents pay a lot of attention to good behavior, because girls should be nice, should be, well behaving. They sometimes tell the poems to the family. So this is what we are expected to be. However, of course, it is good to teach your children the empathy to take care of other people. This is also crucial in your life. But we should be also taught how to be courageous and how to rely on ourselves. And sometimes this is lacking in our life. And I was raised in a family who told me that I can do whatever I want and I can be whoever I want. So I just need to work hard enough, I just to try, and I have chances. And my family didn't have a plan for me. They just gave me the space for my dreams. But of course, loving family is also not everything. And if you do not have supporting family, it does not mean that you cannot be a professor. Of course not, but it's easier if you have support from your family. So nobody in my family told me that being in the secondary school, in the class with humanistic profile, I cannot pass the exams for veterinary medicine. So I did it. And also nobody told me later that being veterinarian, I cannot do my PhD at medical university and look for the novel therapies of human diseases. So I started to do this. And at some point in my scientific work, my mom told me that it would be better for me if I was born a boy, because it would be easier. But of course I can do whatever I want, but it would be really easier if I was a boy. However, I also believe that if we accept our nature, if we agree that we are a woman, we can also do a lot of good things, and we do not fight with our nature. So there's a funny thing about me reaching some important steps like associate professorship or full professor title. So I focus on these aims during my pregnancies. So pregnancy is a very special time when it's not the best time to do laboratory experiments. So I avoided them. So I decided to focus on paperwork, and the paperwork required, for example, for the promotion. So I did it. So I use this time, I focus on my child, on myself, and I do some paperwork not to waste the time simultaneously. And in Poland, when you become a full professor, the title is granted by the president of Poland in Presidential Palace. So it is a big event. This is a very important thing for you. So you go there with your family and you receive this title officially. So here you can see some photos from my celebration. And you can believe me that no one gathered there thought that I'm the person who is going to receive the title. Everybody thought that this is my husband who came to receive the title and just accompany him as, you know, his wife and mother of his children. But it was not true. So I was happy and I had some kind of satisfaction that I did it, despite of all difficulties. And why I show you these photos? I show you these photos because I want you to know that you and your children are not perfect, and you will never be perfect. Children are living creatures that behave sometimes in an unexpected way, and you might feel ashamed. But I think that women very often feel ashamed, very often are frightened that they do something improperly. But sometimes we should rethink that some things are more important, some are less important. And if we are not perfect, if our family is not perfect, it does not mean that you are a bad person, bad scientist, and so on. So I just wanted to give you this message that you don't have to be perfect, but you just need to do everything as good as you can. And if you will be enough lucky, at some point, you will take just one almost good family photo that you can show to the others. But usually the photos are not to public demonstrations. Okay, so, but of course, now one can ask, you had a loving family, but it is not enough to become professor. So I would like to come back to this moment when most of us has to take the decision. I mean, women scientists has to choose if they want to become the mother or not become the mother. And this is also the moment when many of us finish their scientific careers or slow down the scientific career. So, for example, one of my aunties told me that it would be maybe a good idea for me if I had no children, because it would be easier. I could travel a lot then, and maybe I should consider this. Maybe it's a better idea. However, I always make decision with my heart. However, my heart is also in good relationship with my mind. So I did some fast analysis, and I can show you what I was thinking about. So I thought that having no children gave me possibility of impressive scientific career, but also there can be a dark side of this, because probably I will constantly ask myself, what if I had children? And I possibly have frustrations and maybe even depression. Some women maybe do not feel this way, but I suppose that I could be one of them who will feel really bad. And however, there was also a bright side. Maybe I will have a great life, happy life without kids, but with great science. This was also tempting. So then I thought maybe I should have children anyway, and then I will finish my career. And again, probably I will constantly ask myself, what if I didn't resign? And again, there is possible frustration and depression. But there was also and also there was a possibility that I will be very happy living just with my kids and without science. But there was also a third option of having family and do not stop scientific career. And then there was a possible life with kids and with science. Of course, the most tempting, but the chances are unknown if it is possible to achieve. However, as probably most of us, I decided to choose this option because I liked it the most. However, those who are choosing this option need to meet and fight with the biggest enemy, the most ancient, the strongest enemy, because it comes from inside. These enemies are feeling guilty because we do not spend enough time with our families, and feeling guilty because we do not spend enough time at our works. So it seems almost impossible to defeat these enemies. So I was somehow terrified, but you cannot show your fear to your enemy. Remember about it. So to change it, you need to come out of the box. So I decided that I will do whatever I can to keep my family happy and to keep my research ongoing. So and also in Poland, we say that nothing is for free. So I, in this case, decided to invest my time and my money in both, in family and in my research. However, please don't panic. You don't need a really big sum of money for this. You don't need to take the mortgage. Just need to plan your budget in a little bit different way. And and when it comes to the money and not being at home, there is also one ingredient, very important ingredient required as a husband or partner who is not against your development. If you have such a partner, your way will be easy. If you don't have such a partner, it will be difficult, but also probably feasible, but more difficult, but feasible. So to let you know what I mean by investing money in your family and research in terms of development career, I will use an example of going to the internship abroad. So going to the internship abroad, at some point you will need to invest some sum of money in this, but be courageous. So I ask myself, what will happen if I do not buy another dress or sofa? So is somebody going to die? Probably not. So then I ask myself, what will happen if I not have an internship abroad? Is somebody going to die? Yes, I felt that somebody is going to die. Who? My dreams, my project, my unborn discoveries, whatever you call them. So I decided that I can spend some money on this journey with my kid. So how to arrange this kind of trip? So first of all, there are stipend opportunities. In each research grant, you can plan some internships, some some conferences abroad. And I think that we all understand that going to international conferences, going to internships is very important for our scientific development, because then we learn new things, we exchange experience, we meet people, we start the collaboration for new big grants. So we shouldn't stop do this while we are mothers, but we very often do this because we think that it's not feasible, it is tiring, but it does not have to be such. So the regular stipend opportunities, they cover just your cost of living. So they give you money for accommodation and that's it. But in fact, this is a lot and you don't have extra money for a kid to do it. So if you go alone, you just need to invest your money. You can just rent a hotel room and it's enough for you because you do not need much space and it's fine. But when you go with a child, you just need to invest in a flat or studio. However, as I checked, the costs were not very different and it was feasible to cover with the stipend that I got. So the only thing was that I had to take my kid, but the flat was covered by these stipends. And another thing is that you really have to pay at least a little bit, is to invest in a person who will take care of your kid. The best option is to take your mother or mother-in-law. You just pay for the ticket. I also used to take a babysitter, and my babysitter was so excited that we go there, so she never wanted any money for taking care of my kid during these journeys. And honestly, all these people were so happy that they could travel to the different country with my kid. And I felt that I did something good, not only for me, for my child, but also for these people who take care of my kids. So I didn't feel guilty, what is the most important if you want to progress. So, and so the real cost that you have to pay for this kind of internship is paying for the tickets to babysitter or your mother, or your friend who wants to go there with your kid. But haven't you have extra holidays? I felt that I had. So every weekend I used to take them somewhere, and we have been visiting many interesting places just to keep them, happy, and me as well. And also, if you think that you waste money, but I also learned a lot. I studied new things, I met new people, and I started new collaborations, and it was also worth it to do it. And I also don't feel that I waste this money because I have the good night kiss each evening. So again, I didn't feel guilty. And if you don't feel guilty, you are free to do really great things. So in such an environment, we can grow as a woman, as mother, as scientist. And in fact, we just need sometimes a small support. Or sometimes we need a person who will tell us that we can do it, or just direct us that go this way, or ask for this money, and so on. So maybe, and I think we shouldn't stop. We should support each other. We should involve also men, because they are parents as well, and they should be aware how to deal with these problems. So 100 years ago, about 100 years ago, women couldn't vote. But now we don't have, for example, family rooms at work. We do not have extra fundings for going somewhere with children. But I don't think so that we have to wait another 100 years to have this, to support our development. And I hope that I will be able to start these changes in my institute. We have already started some arrangements to organize a family room at our institute. So the thing is that in our job, we not always need to be very much focused on doing the experiments. Sometimes I just turn on the machine and I have to wait 2 hours, 3 hours. It's usually late in the evening. And in this time, for example, I could take my children in this family room and spend the time with them and do both things simultaneously. And I think that we shouldn't be afraid to come out of the box. Otherwise, it will be really difficult to be mother in science. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Marek, for this very inspiring, brave talk. Very needed, no? Sometimes it's very needed, this more personal point of view. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Chris, should we open the question and answer?
Yeah, we can open. I've got a few questions that I want, but if anyone wants to raise their hand and jump in front of me, they're more than welcome to, or I can start off with just a question for Doris, both Doris and Natalia, really. So maybe I'll go first. Doris, you talk a lot about how important teachers are when it comes to students and especially girls wanting to go into STEM and science. Is there more that could be done with research institutes and universities where they provide role models that go into schools? Do you think that some aspect of more outreach from these institutes would be beneficial for schools and kind of the uptake of STEM by, well, everyone, but also, I don't know, just having more female role models showing that, yes, science is possible if you're a girl, sort of thing?
Yes, there are some schools who are cooperating with us. They, especially in the field of molecular biology, they come to train the methods with their school students of the upper secondary level. We have cooperation schools where the students come regularly and where we have an exchange with the teachers. We have a cooperation with our PhD students and the master students. So a support that a PhD student has a specific, is herself a teacher, and she is supporting master students in their practical course at the schools. And at the moment we have students, school students who are interested on their with a Facharbeit, a specific experiments for their in the upper secondary level, and they are coming and making these experiments in our department. So, and in addition, there are always it's not only with my educational department a connection to school, but the scientists, they offer they open the doors for schools. Yes.
No, that's great. Thank you for that answer. Is there any other questions from our audience that anyone would? Bounta, sorry, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. Probably.
Don't worry. Don't worry. This is not the first time. I just wanted to thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to ask actually the follow-up question about the statistics like that, because my understanding was that if I understood it correctly, because I might be wrong with this, but my understanding was that for when you look at the parents, then it seems that they have a more weight, they're more important for girls, I guess, than they are for boys in terms of the kind of ensuring the decision and making sure that they are happy with the decision and so on. So they probably, I would imagine that they are more influential in that sense on the girls than the boys. So the question is what to do with how to kind of get this support. I mean, like, some people will have a lot of support, and Natalia was giving us her own examples, so that's great. What about people who don't have that support? In the parents just, kind of have a clear cut for boys and girls, what they should be or should not be doing? So what do you think can be done in this sort of area?
Should we hear from Natalia first and then maybe go back over to Doris for any other remarks?
So I think that maybe Doris is more competent to respond to this question. However, I believe that also, as it was visible in Doris' lecture, Doris' presentation, there is a big role of the teachers. It makes really difference who you meet on your way. I know many stories of people who just tell about this special teacher who let them understand mathematics or physics or biology, and this is kind of, you know, a rule of the mentor, and unfortunately it is very often random. So we have different parents, we have different teachers, and we have not much impact on which person we meet on our way. But I believe that also meeting the appropriate teacher is very important.
If I could maybe follow that, if that's okay. Yeah. You know, just wondered whether, you know, anything like more of a public sort of information towards public, or, you know, this how you should be doing to support the choices of your children towards whatever they want to do in life, whether, you know, campaigns like that work, or that, you know, like we obviously hear, you know, quite selective environment, you know, a lot of people in academia and everything, people knowing what that is about with science and so on. But for people who are like, you know, very broad public, could that work? Would that be any useful? I don't know, maybe something comes up from the study that Doris showed, I don't know.
I think it's a question of identity. So role identity, especially in the lower secondary level, so about 13, 14 years old pupils, it is important that they can identify themselves with a specific woman in STEM area. And another, as we know from research, mathematics is important. So if good marks in mathematics encourage that the pupils say, yes, I can succeed in such a field. And this what's against this process is the peers. In the moment where the peers say, oh, you are interested in physics, why are you interested in physics? Arts is much more interesting. The girl starts to think, okay, not interesting physics. But when you then give her a role identification, a role model, where you say, okay, a woman in physics, a woman in astronomy, it's very interesting that I can succeed in this area, then you can get her, hold her. So it's important not only to catch the interest in a specific field, in a STEM field, but also to make to hold her, to make her successful. And so the good teacher, he sees, recognizes when these moments where you can give a good feedback, and then this is the starting point for the new learning or the new interest in the STEM fields. There are STEM fields which are very interesting for girls. This is medicine, this is astronomy, this is robotics. So these are fields, and especially fields where you say it is relevant for the society. So you can make a change for the society. Health education, nutrition, these are fields where women are interested.
And Danuta, I also believe that the kind of actions when they are organized just to help the students to choose they wait, this is not enough. This is just the initiation of something. But then there is need for this teacher who will continue the process, because the children can be interested. But if nobody supports them further, you know, this light is shading and nothing happens. So to start something good, you need time. You need to work on this. This is the process, and the child has to be involved in this process for a long time. Just showing this and this like lamps, it's not enough. It's just the Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your responses. I think we have time for maybe one more question. There's one question in the comments from Claudia or Claudia. I don't know if you want to turn on your mic and ask the experts.
Yes, so thank you very much for the presentation. These were really helpful and insightful. I'm currently doing a research. So as part of my thesis, I'm doing a research looking at the leaky pipeline problem. So I wanted to ask, in your opinion, if this underrepresentation of women in STEM and in STEM leadership has more to do with the supply of women. So presuming women have their own reasons for not aspiring or not choosing to go into STEM, or more with a demand, presuming that there are some environmental factors, you know, policies, practices, culture of workplaces, of organization that determine women not to remain in STEM or not to aspire to go up the ladder. So yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Natalia or Doris, do you have any comments?
Well, I think that there are two sides of coins. So one is that, as I told you before, that women doubt in themselves. So there is a discussion about, you know, giving equal number of places in some boards to women and to men. From the beginning, I thought this is unnecessary, because the better, the most, you know, qualified person should be elected. However, it does not work this way always. So I think that it is also a good idea to book some places for women from the and encourage them to join. And I think that it will be very beneficial, because many good women, very well qualified, they doubt that they are good for this position, they should go there, maybe they should do something else, maybe it will occupy too much time. But sometimes it turns out that it does not take so much time, but they are very helpful to the society. And I believe that it is a good start to encourage women to keep some places for women in boards, to give them the chance to show the different point of view. And also usually this kind of boards who make the decisions, they are full of men, yeah. So there is this imbalance between men and female, and usually they also judged a woman in a how to say, as a incompetent, because she talks a lot, because she talks faster, she is not so, you know, reserved, so that does not keep distance. But later, when it comes to the competencies, when it comes to the results, it turns out that this crazy woman is also good, and maybe even better than the man. And sometimes it is difficult for us to aspire to this kind of positions, because we seems unserious and we behave in a different way. And this is not what people are used to accept, because, you know, the person who is decisive, who should be always very calm and behave in a certain manner which we are used to. So I think that there's some blockade from men's side, and but I think that they're also eager to let us in, but we need to find a way to communicate.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer, Professor Marek. This is greatly appreciated. And as you said, I think that gender diversity will bring kind of unreached innovation, and this is really needed in STEM. So thank you so much for your point of view. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Based on results from the ResBios or StarBios project, we see that women are welcome in research groups. So men and women find it productive and good when there are mixed teams. So in research groups, I think this is okay. This is really a result from our research. But the next step, the leading position, this is really a difficult step because the women, they are too slow to really decide very quick, yes, I want to have this position. And here the men they are quicker and they are more focused. They want to have this position. But this is connected with experience of women. Will I be successful in this position? And in the moment where the woman is asking this question, she has lost. She is not quick enough to get this position. So I think this can be changed in the next years. So but till this will be changed, the women will need support. So therefore, I think the quota that a certain number of females have to get a higher position in their faculties, in their universities, to support her in that way. I think in the next years, this will be necessary.
Thank you very much, Doris. I think that's probably going to be our last question because we've ran slightly on time, so I'm just going to pass it back over to Janine.
Yeah, thank you very much. We will leave an email account, and in case that there are other questions that you want to address to the speakers or whatever, we will resend to them. So I will leave an email account in the website.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us, and thank you for our speakers, Natalia and Doris, for their very insightful presentations about gender and the leaky pipe. I know we're slightly over time, but I would quite like anyone who does have a spare 5 minutes, if they're willing to take part in 100% optional evaluation. It's about 3 questions. Should only take about 5 minutes. It's all done on a mobile phone. So if people have the time and are willing just to spend that just doing a very quick questionnaire, it'd be very much appreciated. But I'd like to just thank again to our speakers and to Janine for helping all their help setting this up today. So thank you very much, you three.